Hey everybody, it's GauntletX, and welcome back to another premiere draft of MTG Foundations, the newest core set to Magic the Gathering that's going to be in standard for 5 years, so legal in every format on Arena for a very long time. Sweet set to draft if you're looking to stock up your collection, but a little bit basic if you love like really unique mechanics and stuff. It is still a core set. But it's got cool things going for it, like our rare here, Niv Mizzet Visionary. 6 mana for a 5/5 flyer, and you have no maximum hand size. Whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, you draw that many cards. So if you burst lightning their face with a kicked burst lightning, you can draw 4 cards. Generally, the majority of the time, I think there's just going to be a 6 mana 5/5 flyer. So if you're in an arena open day 2, or like RCQ or whatever competitive events are going on right now, you should just take a good, cheap, common removal spell like Burst Lightning or Banishing Light. But we're not in a competitive event right now, and I like Niv Mizzet. He's a cool giant dragon, so we're going to take him and see if we can get some stuff to go with him. So pick 2, we can take a Faebloom Trick if we really want to stick to this Niv Mizzet at all costs. This is still a very strong card. It's one of the top strongest cards in the pack. Honestly, it's probably the second strongest card. But there's Ghalta as well, which is another big, splashy, really fun thing you can do. And this one's genuinely quite good, I think. I think my only issue with Ghalta is that Ghalta's in green, and green has not a lot of good commons. You really have to get the good rares and uncommons to get a green deck ticking in this format. So I don't love ending up in the color, but if we take the Ghalta, obviously we have one of the good green rares to get the deck ticking. So that's an option too. I honestly don't think Faebloom Trick is much worse than Ghalta. It might actually have a slightly higher win rate on average, because it's just so much more consistent. You can always cast this thing. It's always going to be a good impact on the game. So I think I'm safe to just take Faebloom Trick here and stick to Niv Mizzet. I don't think that's greedy. I don't think that's like too in love with Niv Mizzet. I think that's also just a reasonable thing to do. The card is really good. It's much less splashy, but it does so much for only 3 mana and at instant speed that it's still a very good card. For pick 3, I also like Skyship Buccaneer. Great in the deck that we're building right now. Every card we've taken so far, our 2 cards, are both flying. So it's kind of easy to get raid triggers when you have a bunch of flyers. So just attacking with our 1/1 fairy, drop this down, get a 4/3 flyer, and draw a card. Really nice 2-for-1. Pick 4. Okay, here is where there's a bit of a drop off in quality. In our main colors, I am not a fan of removal spells that leave your opponent a creature, like leaving your opponent a 1/1, because draft and sealed, limited games of Magic are so much about combat that even a 1/1 matters a lot. It might be able to stack up with their random 2/2 to kill your 3/3 because they got left with that 1/1 token. So it's just significantly worse than a removal spell like Eaten Alive that just straight up gets it off the board, even if Eaten Alive costs 5 mana, or even if you have to sack something to Eaten Alive. So I'm just going to take the Eaten Alive, go a little off color here, have a backup plan of some kind of Dimir control deck, or maybe we get to splash around and go full Grixis here. I think Eaten Alive is just the best card in that pack. But pick 5, we get to go right back to red, because a Braid, great efficient removal. Easy pick there. Although that pack was also really good. Burglar Rat and then the White Cat are 2 little good card advantage cards. The 2 mana 1/1 make your opponent discard 1. The 2 mana 1/1 you draw 1. The 2 different ends of the spectrum, but both good cards in the format. For pick 6, I'm going to take Strix Lookout. I'm not building around Niv Mizzet so much that I'm taking Bolt Waves, because this card is useless without Niv Mizzet on the board. Unless you are so aggressive that you know you can get your opponent down to 3, but you really shouldn't be playing this kind of card in sealed. This is a constructed card for burn decks. So I'm just going to take the Strix Lookout, really consistent card that helps set up our draws with that draw discard whenever we don't have other stuff to do with our mana. Firebrand Archer I would almost never run in this format. I really don't like 1 toughness cards like a 2 mana 2/1. It just runs into Burglar Rat. It runs into the 2 mana 1/1 Cat, the Helpful Hunter. It runs into 1/1 Elf tokens. It runs into 1/1 Goblin tokens. It runs into 1/1 Cat tokens. It dies so easily, but it's funny if we have Niv Mizzet on board. So if we have Niv Mizzet on board and we play any spell, this shoots our opponent, we draw a card. So maybe we can do that here. But being full Grixis would also be cool, and we'd need some fixing towards that. Backwater is the safe pick, and it's also a kind of cool pick. Being a 3-color control deck would be cool, so go for that. All right, Tolarian Terror is a pretty cool pick here. and I think reasonable. So we're likely to be playing a lot of instants and sorceries, whichever direction our deck ends up, blue-black or blue-red. Again, Tolarian Terror, not for every deck, but when you do run the deck with tons of instants and sorceries, it's going to be good. Oh my god, we can Bloodfell Capes as well? Let's do it. Let's try full Grixis here, maybe. At least splashing one of these directions. We're not going to play Revenge of the Rats. We're going to have a really high instant sorcery count, which means our grave is not going to be full of creatures. Do I have a playset of all these yet? No, I'm almost never playing Campus Guide. I'm certainly not playing Revenge here, so I guess I'll just throw Campus Guide in the sideboard. Okay, Spitfire Legak is another very funny way we might be able to get Nib Mizzet draws, so we'll take that. But it's also super filler generally, so it'll probably get cut. But we'll see. Bunch of random red wheeling around. Again, even if it's not great, the fact that it wheeled is a good sign for us. Towards blue-red. But Pack 2 Pick 1 shows up a vampire, or shows us a Vampire Nighthawk, which is immediately better than all of our red cards, except maybe a Braid. But having an Eaten Alive and a Vampire Nighthawk towards black, huge stuff for the color. And we can splash red with 2 duels already, one of which is red. I don't think I can try to do Muldrotha, because that would require moving into black and dropping red and splashing green. So that's an extra bold speculation versus Nighthawk is just like moving heavier to black, dropping red towards the splash. This is like double off color. Just on the blue here. Maybe the blackish. Yeah, no, I'm going to go Nighthawk over the Muldrotha. Okay, Pack 2, Pick 2. Mischievous Mystic is insane. You got to have some ways to draw a second card during your turn. There's a lot of ways to do that. Strix Lookout's one of the most consistent. Every turn you activate a Strix Lookout, you now get a 1/1 fairy token. That's super good. We can draft some other ways to work with it pretty highly. So I think I think blah, 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 is a really good card to where we might be able to take it over Stab reasonably. I think the biggest thing that it has going for it over Stab here is being blue instead of black, because again, we're not 100% locked into black. The Nighthawk was a bit speculative. If there were, for some reason, like a blue version of Stab, maybe we should just take that, but I think we can take Mystic here. Ooh, Dreadwing Scavenger. All right, we found the actual best card to go with it. The Strix Lookout's good with Mischievous Mystic, but when you can draw a card, discard a card every turn for free, so that you're spitting out your 1/1 flyer and spending all of your mana on another creature or removal spell or whatever, that's when this card absolutely pops off. Slam dunk the Scavenger, and that's going to get us pretty locked in towards Dimir over Izzet. Pick 4 kind of sucks for everybody, but Dimir does have some good threshold cards. I've actually been somewhat impressed by Ink Mage, not because it's an impressive card, but because it looks really bad. A 3-mana 2/2, Surveil 3, you're like, all right, whatever, man. Maybe it'll be unblockable late game, but at that point, a 3-mana 2/2 unblockable isn't even that good. But it's just been consistently good in every Dimir deck I've put it in, so it has impressed. I'll grab that since we're heading towards Dimir. Pick 5. Here's a second copy of Strix Lookout to go with our Mischievous Mystic. I think that looks pretty good to me. We could also take Perforating Artist, but Perforating Artist off the splash is not the craziest thing for like a Grixis deck. It goes well with our double Strix Lookout because they're these vigilant flyers we can easily keep getting raid triggers off of. But I think I'm kind of off of trying to be like 3-color aggro. Refute's probably better than Ink Mage still. Refute's a really good counterspell. Counterspell and set up your draws, ditching a land to draw something else. I'm pretty confident Refute is the better pick here over another Ink Mage. Even though I did kind of just gas it up, I was like, it looks so bad, but it's actually good. I don't think it's better than Refute. Pick 7. Hungry Ghoul. I've found this card genuinely just good even in non-sack decks, because you can just run Burglar Rats and like anything. Yeah, I'm not pumped about Meteor Golem or Aegis Turtle, so come on in, Hungry Ghoul. Pick 8. This pack's pretty bad. We can take a Soul Caller, Finish, Graveyard Recursion, or Witness Protection. Fillerish removal. I'm not going to be super happy either way. I'll just take Witness Protection. Pick 9. Okay, Light Shell Duo is another card that is quite fun in the blue-black Threshold deck. To getting your buffed up Death Touching the Scavengers, getting your unblockable Cephalid Ink Mages. The Surveil 2 just plays really well. Blood Thief's pretty strong in aggressive decks, though. Not too hard to have this just getting a +1/+1 counter every turn. So that's an option too. It's really funny with Vampire Nighthawk. Maybe if I saw the Vampire Nighthawk synergy earlier, I would have gone for that, but I didn't realize till the very end. Wait, it can put counters on Vampire Nighthawk. That's kind of filthy. We might splash in a Seismic Rupture, probably not. But if this ends up being the kind of thing where it doesn't kill any of the creatures in our deck, might be worth a splash. Because in the right matchup, it'll be insane. Okay, final pack, pack number 3. You have to maintain a board state for Lunar Insight, which makes it really inconsistent. But it's potentially a lot of card draw. I think I would rather just not run something inconsistent like that. I think I'm just going to grab Evolving Wilds here. I really want to make sure we can run a Nev Mizzet. Even though I'm actually going to have 0 ways to deal non-combat damage to my opponent. It's just going to be a 6-mana 5/5 flyer. That's it. Man. Well, at least the Terramorphic helps us get a Braid in no matter what. I just think Kraken's like, it's a decent 6-drop, but you don't really want a lot of 6-drops. Skeleton with just a single Hungry Ghoul. A little narrow there. I'll take the Evolving Wilds. Double Red's a bit of a difficult splash. I've played 3 Chandras already, and they've always been bad for me. The best I think I did was 3/3 with a double Chandra deck. I need to get a 7-win Chandra deck, and if it takes playing Dimir to do it, I will. Dimir Splash Chandra. I guess we're here. We cut the Niv Mizzet, but play a Chandra. Pack 3, pick 3 looks very likely to be a Vampire Nighthawk. This is much better in more defensive decks than Vampire Gormond. I think there are decks in this format where Gormond is better, like the super hyper aggro Rakdos sack build, but here it's got to be Nighthawk, and Nighthawk is good enough to take over Bacon to apply. It's kind of like a removal spell, because it can block literally anything and kill it. Board wipes are pretty good in control decks, I've heard. Pick 5, another Light Shell Duo. I mean, these all also set up our draws towards the big Chandra. They also fill our grave towards Tolarian Terror. If we can get some more instants and sorceries, ideally. We're actually doing pretty bad on Tolarian Terror front. That might be another cut here. Pick 6. In for penny, in for pound. Splash Atali, splash Chandra. Or splash Chandra, splash Atali. I don't think so. Arbiter is such a good ETB. We have pretty bad creatures to sack towards it, though. Maybe we just want to think twice. This is a really good card to mill. This digs towards our bomb. This is plural. Yeah, we already have 2 bombs. I don't really want to run a 3rd big high mana value bomb. Because then we get these positions where we might be clumped up on them. Pick 7. Yeah, again, I don't think we're looking for more top end like Grappling Kraken. Just more random early blockers. Let's grab Hungry Ghoul. Pick 8. I can make a copy of Chandra every turn? Aw, the copies are still legendary. Tragic. We have 6 flyers that cost 3 or less mana. We can Gold Vein pick towards Chandra. I will never learn a lesson. That's going to make no sense unless you saw our last Chandra draft. We had 2 Chandras and 3 Gold Vein picks, and we just kept drawing multiple picks. It was bad. But it could be fun here. Yeah, Strix Lookout's really good with the Gold Vein pick. Really good with the Mystic. I take it over Lunar Insight. It's just way more consistent. I think I'm literally just splashing Chandra Braid. I do get to cut one more card here. I could splash Incinerating Blast over playing Witness Protection. That's really splashable, just costing 1 red mana. Splashing the Gorehorn too, I guess. We're pretty good at raid triggers with the amount of random flyers we have. I guess it depends what we have to cut for it here. If we end up splashing that. Okay. I don't think this is a good runaway together deck. It's not a great ghoul deck, and I still have 4 2-drops without it. I could just cut these 3 and call it a deck. Or I could cut like the Raider and keep a ghoul in or something. Keep a ghoul in. Yeah. I'm just gonna cut these 2. This looks fun. This looks good. Looks decent enough. Our Gold Vein pictures got a little bit worse, but I mean, look at all these flyers. That's 7 3-mana or less flyers. Let's go for it. Grixis Control it is. Sorry, Niv Mizzet. There's only 1 card that would trigger Niv here. So, no 6-mana 5/5 flyer. I mean, is our deck considerably worse playing a Niv Mizzet instead of Grappling Kraken? Sadly, I think it probably is. This is a pretty good landfall ability. 5/6 is a really good blocker. Yeah, that is actually kind of tragic. I think our deck is worse with Niv Mizzet than Kraken, so I'm just going to keep that in. One last look at the mana base, though. We need a lot of black sources because of the Vampire Nighthawks. Red sources are the least important. We do need double red towards Chandra, but we don't need double red until 7 mana, whereas we need double black at only 3. And obviously blue is just our heaviest color by far. So 6, 7, 8 blue sources. I'd ideally like to get to 9. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red sources, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 black sources. That feels right. 9, 7, 5. Yeah, looks good to me. We will call it a deck here, hop into the gameplay, and see how it does. All right, here we are on the play for game 1 with a pretty good hand here. Double Nighthawk with the mana to cast them. It's a little ridiculous. Get the raid trigger for the Buccaneer pretty easy. Oh my god, we hit the curve out. We found a Strix Lookout for turn 2 as well. Playing against Boros. There's the Courageous Goblin. Let's see how courageous it is. Do you fear the Vampire Nighthawk? Oh my god, it actually is. Actually Courageous Goblin. Swings right into the 2/3 body. It's like, nah, you won't block. True, because I have an insane curve to outrace you. As long as you don't combat trick away my Great Lifelinker. I do want to draw land here, but if I don't, another Nighthawk is still great. This Edict is super awkward. Because we're actually in the aggressive position here. Like, I am not casting that at this rate. But we'll see. Yeah, we hit the land. We're definitely not casting that. Alright, Courageous Goblin, kill my Big Fin Bouncer. Oh, it's the 1 white mana combat trick? It's not? Just let me eat that up? That's nice. Very nice of our opponent. I appreciate it. Yeah, he probably didn't realize the Death Touch, I guess. Really bad spot for them either way, and we get a pretty quick victory, starting things off 1-0. No black mana is rough here, but we have Strix Lookout to do some digging, and Lookout into Faebloom Trick is still a strong start, so this might be a little greedy, a little bold, but I am going to go for it. Opponent's got the Tyvar sleeves. Black deck from our opponent. Incinerating Blast is the first draw. Burglar Rat. Ah, double black's a lot, isn't it? Yeah, we'll ditch the Nighthawk. Another Strix Lookout. gonna try to go for mana efficiency here, because if we Feybloom Trick this turn, next turn, in theory, I can draw a card, discard a card off Lookout to hit my next land, and play another Lookout in the same turn. So I'm gonna wait till post-combat here. So if they play another flyer, I get to tap that with the trick. But it looks like they're not going to play a flyer. I'm already having a really bad time with these burglar rats. Oh no. Oh, I'm so sorry, Chandra. But goodbye. Whoa, auto tapper. Alright, doesn't matter. Oh man. No shot do I keep her instead of Dreadwing Scavenger. Against blue-black? Don't look at me. Don't ask me about it. Just don't even look at the hand. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine. There's the stab for the Lookout. I'm under like no pressure here, which is what makes me feel like keeping Chandra might actually be okay. If they refute this Chandra, it's so over for me. Yeah. I mean, I've got like 5 unblockable power on the board between Ink Mage, a Lookout, and 2 fairies if they stab a Lookout. Okay, that's really good for them. The gain 2 and deal 2 to me certainly changes the race. And keeps me very far from Threshold. Yeah, no, that was actually a really good card for our opponent. I think milling one with the Ink Mage in hand is already just kind of decent, so let's mill one. Don't worry about it. If they have any more burglar rats, then this is the worst timeline. Stab. They didn't stab. I'm trying to have fun here, and I think it's going to cost us the game at this rate. We just keep all of the cheap evasive threats. We're racing here and maybe win the race. I'm growing increasingly more concerned they're just going to refute. Well, on the plus side, double zombie. That Cephalid was going nowhere. That was actually not an evasive threat. I lied. I think I have to just eat an alive a zombie here. I could activate both Lookout towards the Chandra to really, really lock in that I'm hitting an untapped land next turn, but at that rate, it's chump chump. Activate both. Maybe that was actually the line, because, like, if Chandra resolves, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Chandra would wipe all of their current creatures off the board. Next game. Their hand was good enough with all of those ghouls to stop the Cephalid Mage threshold. I don't think we would have won doing it the other way, but that's a comical ending. This is Chandra's last chance. If I go below 5-3, I'm never drafting Chandra again. All right, here we are for game 3. We are 1-1 right now, and we've got a reasonable start here. Pretty great mana. Uh-oh. Turn 1 land where else was not exactly what I wanted to see. With a hand like this, it is not a fast hand. We have a Strix Lookout, and then a Light Shell Duo at 4 mana. But if they just slam a 3-drop on us turn 2 on the play, oh my god, if they have 2 mana dorks, 2 on the play, they have 5 mana while I have 2 lands on board. Okay, we could just get rolled here. That is looking like it. If they play a power 4 creature, it's over. That triggers Goblin, that triggers Ruby. They slam in for 1,000,000. That's something. Here comes the combat trick. Goodbye, Strix Lookout, but we force them to spend mana on a combat trick instead of like a 3-drop creature here. All right. There's the power. Oh, it's power 3. Never mind. I lied. If it was the power 4 creature, we'd be dead. It's still looking bad. Let's go. We just completely stopped taking damage now. You love to see it. Let's get stable and then drop a gigantic Kraken and flip the board in our favor. I guess we draw Chandra last. I blast somebody to draw a card, discard a card towards the next red source. Man, I wish I terramorphed for the red source, but there's only 1 double red card in the deck, but there's multiple Vampire Nighthawks. So I felt it was better to get the black source towards Vampire Nighthawks than the red source towards the 1 Chandra. We are so lucky they didn't have a power 4 creature in their hand, and that they still don't have a power 4 creature, because that gives this +1/+0 menace, that gives this +2/+2. Those swings would have been astronomical if they could have curved into that on turn 3. Just like the 3 mana 4/2 Wolf even. The power 4 creature was like the difference between us being, I think, literally dead right now, and them just being completely walled off. All right, let's just blast the best creature they have just so I can draw towards the mountain. Not the mountain yet, but we are fine right now. All right, our opponent straight up just left the game last turn and roped out a couple times, so they died before we got to cast Chandra, as is usually the case. We are now 2-1 heading into game 4. Here we are now for game number 4. I really don't think I can keep this hand. There's nothing till turn 4. We gotta go runner, runner, runner on lands. It's not good, but everything's castable at least. Playing against another black deck. Black-white, it is really scary color pair. The right combination of cards with some life gain triggers can equal 4/4 Johnny Pridemates and 5/5 Angels in the Sky, like, immediately. Pilfer's annoying, but our hand kind of sucks right now, so not the worst. Goodbye, Cephalid Ink Mage. Cool. Still get to curve out then. 2-drop and then hold up a refute for 3. Gutless Plunderer, just a 2/2 Death Touch, no raid trigger there. Right. I'd rather hold up the refute here even if they know about it. It's going to make them play their second best spell instead of their best spell this turn, whereas if I just slam down Lookout, they're going to slam down whatever they want through the refute. Cool. Guess they just skip playing a spell altogether. It's really good refute value. Sure. You can rebuke the Lookout. Well, with a hand like this, we gotta just hold up another refute. The revealed refute might end up countering a somewhat mediocre spell, but it has bought us time. Unless their hand also sucks. They did absolutely nothing with their 5 mana that turn. Absolutely nothing with their 6 mana. Unkicked Sunblessed Healer. Sure. I have more than enough mana to just hold the refute here and not activate Lookout just now. Because I can get to a spot where I'm activating Lookout and holding up refute, especially with Pick as the draw. Probably refute that when I'm going to have a pick on this thing. Because otherwise they're hitting for 5, we're going to 7. Even without a better spell to play, yeah, we have to refute here. Well, all in on top deck Chandra. Top deck Chandra will certainly win it. Kraken's actually already pretty good. So we've got that. Arbiter of Woe. Alright, well, no, we don't have that. It is now discarded because Arbiter of Woe is insane. That is really something. Find a Light Shell Duo. When we have a Chandra in our deck, that's definitely a draw discard. There are better cards to hit, so we would discard a Duo for a Chandra if we find her. That's actually pretty rude for our deck, because we care about Threshold. Comical draws, and they continue. Well, we're dead to removal. And one removal spell is not going to save us. So we mill that. And show me the removal spell so I can perish. That puts us to 1. Wow, the life gain trigger with the Blight Priest. Jesus, what a way to die. 2 and 2 it is, heading into game 5. All right, here we are for game 5. Turn 1, Diagraph Ghoul on the play. We are under some pressure here with 2 toughness blockers. Ghoul is just going to run right through our Strix lookouts. Okay, no full-on curve out on the play here, just the Ghoul for now. Go to 17. Reassembling Skeleton. Heck yeah, I am so fine with you playing 1/1s. That will get much more concerning when they play some kind of sacrifice card later, but for now, I just care about surviving. So we get to our Buccaneer. There's a Vampire Nighthawk from our opponent. I am the one who's supposed to Nighthawk. Got 2 of those in my deck. Hey, look who's about to Vampire Nighthawk. It's me. Nighthawk for Nighthawk it is, alright. Really suspicious skeleton attack. Maybe they're just on Morbid here. I can't really think of like a -1/-1, but maybe I don't know the format super well. Okay, fake your own death on the Nighthawk, fair enough. Annoying, but fair enough. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Trade fake your own death for our Nighthawk. I think I can take 1 more hit from Nighthawk to get the Buccaneer down right now. Alright, we have all the lands we need for Chandra. This is a perfect Chandra game. Just going for Morbid here. Yeah, Tragic Banshee, that's fine. I think I actually have to kill Banshee instead of Nighthawk. Just to buy more time. Where are you, Chandra? She always shows up in the wrong games. Like when we win before we can cast her, or die before we can cast her. But in the games like this, where it's like, all right, here's all my Chandra mana, and she would matter a lot, she's nowhere to be found. See? Definitely supposed to keep grappling Kraken. With 3 lands in hand for it. I probably have to keep all of these and just let it be forever until I play Chandra. Give me a napkin real quick. Alright, Ghoul Skeleton's pretty bad. On board, they have to sack Nighthawk. Oh, I'm dumb. I'm dumb, that's fair. Forgot about Skeleton because I was busy being sick. They have the mana to just double ghoul us with the reassembling skeleton. I think it's better to kill the cutthroat than it is to tap one of these. Gigantic flying shriek mass has arrived. Well, we're missing out on another draw step here from that punt earlier. Oh, fashionably late refute. That's always fun. I guess well, it's so awkward with the landfall trigger. I literally had to play the land here. I would be dead on board. I'm gonna refute into Chandra, watch me. That would be the most fitting way to end this draft and end my time drafting Chandras. Chandra off the top, baby. Okay. It's not Chandra. So we didn't mill a Chandra. Would have been funny, though. Yeesh. Still more. I have to throw Nighthawk at this ghoul, because ghoul's already like 6/6 stats with reassembling skeleton at worst, which eats our Kraken for free. I guess if they don't attack with ghoul this turn, then yeah, I have to just Nighthawk there. And now Chandra's too late. She just can never show up in the right game. Because at this point she does not wipe their board. Ghoul is going to be a 6/6, so she kills a ghoul and a cutthroat. Okay, Edict wipes their board. Wipes mine too. And they have a reassembling skeleton starting to beat me up, which a braid is not good against. But a braid's good if they draw like another Nighthawk or something. Feel like I have to keep the braid. I might have been able to double block with Duo and Kraken and try to kill there. But I mean, we're obviously on Edict here anyway. Well, we die. 4/4 off the top, plus 1/1 in the grave. It's 5 damage. I could have braid the 1/1 for literally one last draw. It'd be a 1 life. Then we lose even with Chandra. Yeah. Yeah, that was a last turn punt, though. Technically, I should have abraded the skeleton, because then if the exact top card of our library is Chandra, there is like a 5 or 10% chance of winning. We did not give ourselves that 1 in 14 shot of having a 5% chance of winning the game. Because we could play Chandra, kill the Shriek Mass, and then they keep drawing off the top, but we draw 2 a turn off Chandra and hopefully kill them before they can draw 1 point of damage to us. Again, even with Chandra on top, really unlikely that we win, but that was a second punt for that game. Alright, I'm never drafting Chandra again. That's the big theme of the video. Chandra is a good, strong, powerful 7-drop card if you make it to the 7 mana. She's in your hand, you're going to win that game, but she literally only shows up at the wrong time for me. That is 4 Chandras drafted, every single one. Just with a terrible deck. All of our 7-win runs have just been like good, pure Dimir decks. Not a single Chandra anywhere close to our winning decks in this format. Yeah. It's so awkward. It's so depressing. Because, like, I know she's a good card. I know she's a strong card. She does fit well into this kind of deck. We're a controlling deck that can make it to 7 mana. We had the good fixing to get to her. We had multiple games where we had perfect mana for Chandra. She would have been a good draw, but she didn't show up then. She showed up in the other games where it didn't matter. It just is what it is. Can't control that, but I can stop drafting Chandras, because apparently she doesn't work for me. I think, technically, non-results oriented thinking, I should not stop drafting Chandras. I think she's a genuinely powerful card in this deck, and in the deck that we had 2 Chandras in. She was genuinely correct to play. These were the correct builds to run a Chandra in. I mean, obviously, I went out of my way here. Like, it probably wasn't correct to be taking picks and all these lands and stuff and moving towards red, but we were doing that for Niv Mizzet anyway, so since we were already in that direction, it was correct to draft and play the Chandra here. And our second time we tried to play 2 Chandras with the triple pick and all the creatures towards them, the good fixing there, I think it was right to run her there as well. She's a really powerful spell. She's got a 61.4% average win rate on 17 lands. Which just 100% means, like, if you can draw and cast her, people are winning the games with her. They're just losing the games where they couldn't cast her because she costs 7 mana. But she's just cursed for us. Our win rate with Chandra is like 30% or something, I think. She's been the absolute poop monster. Is what it is. We tried for a 3rd time. The 3rd Chandra is not the charm. Technically, this was the 4th Chandra. And I'm over her. Don't want to think about her ever again. 2 and 3 is the final record for today's video. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.